How appalling, Kobe, was the officiating? Does this push the F1 teams and the drivers to ask for a change in the FIA leadership?
Joe, this is just the latest episode of what's been going on with the FIA president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, and just race officiating, Formula One in general. It was extremely appalling, Joe. Actually, I think the word you used, appalling, is an understatement. How awful the officiating was during the Qatar Grand Prix, and we all saw the mirror on the track, and everybody was thinking, "Oh, that's going to be a safety car, without a doubt," And then they keep racing, and then boom, Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton, end up being victims of that situation, end up ruining both of their races there. Lewis and Carlos did their best to try to recover in the end, but they certainly lost a handful of positions during that. And it was just super unfortunate, that something like that happened. Can you imagine if it was the race leader, Max Verstappen, running over that, and then he has a puncture just like Sainz and Hamilton did, and then Max ended up losing the race over something like this. It was clearly, in the line of sight there, and it was a safety hazard. So I don't understand why they delayed throwing the safety car until someone ended up suffering from it. That was a massive, massive mistake on the part of race control there, an epic fail. And Lando Norris, I guess it's a matter of fact that a 10-second stop and go penalty for that is probably way, way, way too harsh. And if Ferrari ends up winning the constructor championship after Abu Dhabi, a lot of people are going to look back at this situation and being like, "Yep, this is exactly what cost McLaren the constructors in the end." Because I feel like for what he was penalized for, 10 and go, 10-second penalty was extremely harsh in these circumstances. But overall, it's just been a really not just a crazy race day for the FIA, been a crazy race week because we've been seeing a lot of things that have been happening. As we already know, a lot of the drivers have been frustrated with Mohammed bin Sulayem and his leadership or lack thereof. And Sulayem responded in the media to the drivers' criticism of how he's running by the FIA, and he basically he told them that it's none of their business of how he runs things. So he's acting. I hate to use this word, but he's honestly, and I think our own Joshua Birch from Great Tonight would agree with us. If Mohammed bin Sulayem is starting to act like a dictator in this situation. I don't like using those words like dictator, but that's exactly what he's acting like. He's acting like that this is his playground, and he's the king of the playground, the big bad bully, whatever you want to call him. But Mohammed bin Sulayem seems to be way over his head right now. And the funny part about this is, he said, with all due respect, I am a driver, so I respect the drivers. And he said, let them go out there and concentrate. So he's saying just because that he's a driver, that he knows what's best for the drivers. But the thing is, Mohammed bin Sulayem, he was never a Formula One driver, or even come close to being a Formula One driver. So he doesn't have the best understanding of these circumstances. If he was a Formula One driver, he probably had more credibility in this area. But so far, he's just made all the wrong decisions, and just I think he's really tearing down the FIA internally, as we've seen with a lot of turmoil and changes that's been happening behind the scenes over the last several months or so. This has been really crazy to see how he's responding to the driver. Instead of trying to have an open and honest conversation with them, he's literally just saying that this is none of your business. How I run the FIA, and that you just need to focus on driving and all of that. So I really don't understand why he's acting that way, but it is really frustrating. And then the real funny part about this whole situation, after saying that it was none of their business, he said, do we have to tell them when we make changes at the FIA? He said when the team make changes, they don't tell us. So basically, he's saying that just because the teams don't tell the FIA when they make personnel changes, he don't have to explain his reasoning to anyone, to the teams or the media, why they're making changes or doing something a certain way with the FIA. And that's not the only thing that's been going on here. With Roy Marquez moving up to be the F1 race steward, replacing Niels Vittich, Janet Tam was supposed to be the race director for FIA Formula 2 race weekend. But guess what? Before she was able to make her debut at that, she ended up getting fired, which was super unfortunate situation. And given how Mohammed bin Sulayem handled the Susie Wolf situation, in the preseason before we got into this year of racing, you have to ask yourself, like, was Mohammed bin Sulayem intimidated by the fact that she was a woman in a powerful position? Been a race steward. I don't like to bring that up, but given his history, you have to wonder that as well. And also, a long-time FIA race steward Tim Meyer was also sacked along with Tan, and it makes you wonder what on earth is going on. But all in all, Joe, I think everybody is just sick and tired of Mohammed bin Sulayem and his leadership and the direction he's leading Formula One down. Honestly, I think like I said, he's tearing down the FIA internally, and he's leading the sport right off the edge of a cliff. And for all of the people who voted for Mohammed bin Sulayem to be the next president of the FIA, I want to ask you, what were you thinking? Did he say all the right things and trick you guys? Because I honestly don't think he's really been a really helpful addition to the sport. And every time I see his name in the media, him doing something, I always think to myself, I'd give anything to have Jean Todt back as the president of the FIA. I don't know if he always did the right things or anything like that, but Jean Todt, he under his leadership, the FIA ran a steady ship, and you never saw the amount of drama that we're seeing now. It just seems like that everyone is just sick and tired of Mohammed bin Sulayem, and I believe it's time for a change.